Ladies and gentlemen,
you are now about to witness
the journey that is the Life Choices podcast.
Yeah!
Welcome back, everybody, to the Life Choices podcast, where we discuss mindset, success, the good and the tough aspects of going after your passion. On today's show, we are welcoming Annessa Darling.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Very happy to have you here. If you could do us a favor and just let the listeners know a little bit about you and, you know, what you do for a living and maybe what you did before that living.
Sure. I'm Annessa. I'm currently a self-employed private chef. I started my business officially probably last year during the summertime. I work for several different residences. Sometimes I pick up project work, like parties and functions. But before that, I was on motor yachts. I started out as a stewardess and found out that I really loved being in the kitchen, in the galley. And from there, I decided to put myself through culinary school. And I honestly didn't know that I wanted to be a private chef. I thought I'd just go back to boats. And it worked out that this is just what was right for me. So.
And you feel good doing it, right?
Yeah, I love it. It really is truly my passion. I wish I had more time to do it.
So
yeah.
What did you do in your earlier years, high school and whatnot, and working at that time of, when you were like late teens, early 20s?
Yeah. I started actually, I've always been in the food industry now that I think about it.
In hospitality?
In hospitality. My parents owned a catering business, so that was, I would go home to that every day. My stepdad and my mom, doing dishes and getting ready for the next day. But during high school, I had a diner job, and it was this little tiny diner, and I would maybe get like a quarter. People would come in and get like a hot dog and a coffee, and they'd leave me like a quarter or 50 cents. And I think I was like 16 or something, 15 or 16. And I'd probably, go home with like $25 in my pocket.
Hey, 16 years old, 25 bucks. That's great.
$25. And it was definitely one of those greasy spoon diners.
Yeah.
Where it was like, just hot dogs, eggs, hash browns, tons of bacon, sausage. But yeah, that's where I started. And then from there, I worked at a pool hall, and then I started bartending. And I stuck with bartending for quite some time. And that's what ended up moving me to Portland, Maine. And that's where I figured out, oh, wow, I can do what I'm doing on land, but on motor yachts, why not do that? I can travel for free. I can, meet all kinds of people from other places. And I mean, it was just like that adventure. I was like, oh, I need this adventure. I'm ready to jump into it. So I quit my job immediately. I was just like, oh, I'm going to go. And within 2 weeks, I was in Florida and looking for my first job on a boat.
On a yacht.
Yeah.
So you were in the hospitality and the service industry.
Mm-hmm.
You started making good money. Bartending obviously is an excellent job for a young person to meet people and make money. And at that time, not really worried about too much, right?
I thought I had so much to worry about. Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, my rent and this and that. I thought I had so much on my plate, and now I look back and I'm like, man, what I wouldn't give to have just this little, the freedom. And I really didn't have as much responsibility as I think I thought I did.
Right. Because no one back then tells you that when you get older, the real responsibilities show up.
Yeah. And I think it got really, really real for me, maybe a year ago. I was like, whoa, I'm a mom, I'm a business owner, what am I doing?
Okay.
But, then back then it was not like that. It was just I'd get up, go to work, I'd be up, and my job was, bartending's fun. You get to socialize, you get to it's as much of a party as it is a job.
Right.
So, I always really enjoyed that. But, I just I was able to just kind of cut ties with Portland and my job there, which I love it there. I probably would have stayed there forever had I not found yachting. And I just, got into it on the yachts and carried on doing the hospitality and service side of things. And
how much different of a mindset would you say it was going from working in a bar in Portland, Maine, where you were, like you said, you were paying rent and living, a young 20-year-old lifestyle as a bartender, which I know is fun. I've been
fun.
there. And then you're shifting into this career that I know very much because I've been doing it for 15 years, that the industry is very overwhelming and a lot different than what one thinks before getting into it. So what was the mindset shift once you actually started working on a boat and saw what really went on in a yacht?
I think I did look at it as like, free adventure and free travel and all this stuff like that I could do. And, I can live on the boat and work on the boat, and then I can just go explore France and I can go explore, all of these things. And I don't think I actually explored any places the first year that I joined. I think it's hard work.
Right.
I didn't realize I'd be up at 5 or 6, and then, I wouldn't be done working until 11, and I'd be so tired, or even later sometimes. I'd be so tired, and then I wake up and I'm at work again the next day, and my off time, I'd wake up and I'm at work already because I live at work. You don't leave
it. Yeah.
You never leave
in the boat. Yeah.
There's always a crew dynamic. You're always having to kind of have you can't just wake up and be at home by yourself.
Right.
You're always having to think about your roommate. Like most of us on yachts have a crewmate, a bunkmate. Yeah. Like, are they also comfortable in this room? Like, I don't know. Like, and there's just a lot when you're living with that many people too, Yeah.
There's all the different personalities from different cultures. And especially when you're the new person, you're not really sure like what to really expect. And
it's uncomfy.
It is very much so. And especially like, as you get into the yachting industry a bit more and you're sharing a room with someone, you then have to teach the new people what they can and can't do.
Etiquette. Yeah.
Yeah. In the room. Like you have, like at home, you just, slam a door, leave a light on, but no, like your roommate might be down for their 2-hour break if they get one,
right?
Or they're getting up at 4:35 in the morning and you're finishing at 11, and like you have to like grab that door handle of the bathroom and turn it so slowly and quiet, and then like bring it in. And like for me, like I put my finger like at the door frame as the door comes closed, and then like hopefully you're on a boat that the doors are good and it doesn't go like as soon as you close it, because like if you have a roommate that's a light sleeper, well, fuck, now you just woke them up.
Yeah, and like I eventually got to share a room with my boyfriend who turned into my husband, and that was like a lot easier. Once I moved into different roles on the boats and I got a couples position, it was like, oh, whatever, he's my boyfriend. I'll wake him up. But you when it's somebody else that's from a different country or a different place, and there's all these different things, you don't know how they lived before you guys now live together. You're just kind of pushed into a thing, and you're like,
I usually explain it to people that I talk to, that obviously with the TV show Below Deck, there's quite a lot of fake knowledge that people have as to what we do on yachts. However, I try to explain it to them that if you've ever gone to university or even camp, let's say, you can do it that way, you're basically being put into like your first year university, you're being paired up with people and living with people that you wouldn't otherwise choose.
Right.
And you may get along with them, you may not get along with them.
Yeah.
And on the yachts, you now are living with them, working with them, and in most essence, on your days off, you're hanging out with them, unless you're able to just bugger off on your own. But the point that you made that I really want to interject here on is, it's not that it's not free travel. It's not that it's not, because you are usually in vacation land wherever you do end up getting a day off. But the amount of time you might have on some and or most boats is limited while you're there.
Definitely.
So
yeah, for sure.
You don't really get like, if you planned a trip with your husband to go to France for 10 days, you would go and explore and do everything.
And you do all the things you want to do.
Exactly. Where sometimes you're only in a port for a day or two. And if you're on watch, which means like you have to like stay on the boat and watch like the alarms and whatnot, then you don't even get to do anything except for look outside when you put the flag up or
fill
flag
in the
down.
logs.
Yeah.
Check the engine room, all the fun stuff.
So how did you like, so you, because I know you were in the industry for a few years and you went from the service, as in like being in front of the guests all the time, as a entry level stew, moving your way up to, you know, chief stew, obviously rather quickly. I do know that about you. And then you left for a bit and then came back as a chef on boats for a little bit. What was that like? How did you go about dealing with the now understanding of two positions?
I guess that transition was, I didn't expect for that to happen at all. It kind of just presented itself when it was the right time for me. I was, you know, I wasn't sure. In the beginning, when I was moving from stewardess to a chief stewardess position, when I left it was my first boat I had ever been on. I left that boat, and I was like, I just don't think this is right for me. Like, I don't think I should even be in yachting. I don't have the tough skin for this because, you know, again, living with people, I felt like things didn't quite work out the way that I saw them in my head. I was like, this is going to be, you know, this, and what I expected was not the reality. And I was ready to give up at that point. I was like, you know, I don't think I'm going to do this. I'm just going to, you know, I'm going to go back to, I ended up working land-based in between my first job and that chief stewardess job. I ended up working at a place in West Palm called Off the Hookah for a very short time.
Okay.
I think it was like maybe...
Man, I haven't heard that name in a while.
It's no longer open. But like a month and a half or 2 months, I was like, oh, I'll just go back to bartending or something. But bartending down here in West Palm was a lot different than up north. And I didn't enjoy it. I was just unhappy. And I was like, you know, I'll go back to yachting. And I did some freelance things like, you know, parties and events. I'd go and do service and help out. And I kind of fell into this freelance thing that was becoming permanent. And I would go do stewardess work for them, go and do a lot of organization and help the guests. And they had, you know, a lot of people in and out all the time. So I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the changes every day. Things are changing every day. I was never bored. And I don't know. The captain one day, he was like, listen, like, we're in a jam and I think you'd be a great chief stew. And I was like, what? Like, I've ever had one other boat job. I don't know that this is right for me. And he's like, yeah, you know, the missus likes you. I think it's a great idea. And I was like, well, you know, I don't know. Okay, let's try it. Why not? It sounded like a great idea. And it was tough. I didn't know what I was signing up for because I didn't really know everything I needed to know to have that role. And it was a lot of learning as I went and a lot of, you know, like a lot of just using my, my skill set of being able to talk with people and make sure that they're comfortable and using that service side of things to really, be successful at that position because I didn't feel, it definitely wasn't a comfortable position.
Well, you hadn't done what most, ladies do in the industry, which is work under other chief stewards for, you know, 2, 3, 4 years.
I didn't have a lot
and then, you know, fine tune the things that you don't realize that it involved in the job, like the organization of like the placemat cupboard and the ordering of the new dishes that the missus wants specifically in 1 week because she saw them in a magazine. Like, I get that because I'm as a chef, you're working almost directly with the girls all the time.
Exactly.
So I get to absorb and see all of the nuances that they're going through.
Right.
But you were very successful, obviously, because, correct me if I'm wrong, when you took the lead position, the chief stew position on that, we won't say the vessel or the family's name, but then you became like in charge of multiple?
Yeah, there was multiple boats and multiple residences, and I think it was probably good for me to not have had a chief stew role before because I probably would have broken in that moment of trying to like figure out how to make this impossible task of putting staff everywhere possible, you know. And I think I was like, okay, how can we make this happen? And in my head, I just was like trying to fit these puzzle pieces together of like, we're going to put these 2 girls over here and these 2 girls over here and this person over here. And then I'll be over here, but I'll work until, you know, I don't know, 3 a.m. And then I'll wake up at 8 a.m. That will give me this many hours to sleep, you know. And I just was trying to make everything memorable for everybody, but also make it, you know, something that was going to work and was going to make the client, like the guest happy, was going to make the owner happy. And we were going to like, I really wanted it to be the best season for them ever, because, you know, that was my first big role and my first big responsibility of like, you got to make this happen or you're probably going to get fired, sort of thing.
A huge opportunity is landed in your lap, because for anyone out there that doesn't understand what we're talking about, the yachting industry is working for the 1% of the 1% of the wealthiest people in the world. And it can be a demanding job at times.
Right.
And anybody who's professional obviously wants to succeed, obviously wants to do a good job for the people who have bestowed upon them, you know, here, take care of me and my friends and my yacht.
I'm trusting you.
Exactly.
I'm trusting you to do
so
a good
much.
job.
Like, here's a lot on your plate. Don't fuck it up. Because as we know in our industry, it doesn't take much to be let go, or that, oh, I love you so much. Oh, but, you know, it's not working out anymore. It goes quite quickly. So it is a lot to deal with. Yeah. How did you as an individual deal? Because a lot of different people in a lot of different careers obviously have work stresses. That's just part of work. How did you go about, like, we're not even getting into the later part of your life right now, which is like the mom, wife, owner of a business. Like, we're just talking about a position on a yacht where you're dealing with work stresses. Like, what did you do on a daily basis to be a good leader for the other girls that are working with you? And how did you deal with work stresses so that you didn't, like, lose your mind?
There was a lot of losing my mind involved, especially at that age. I didn't, that's a really good question. I think leadership wise, I've always felt like you're only as strong as your team is. And I've always been, I think that's probably one of the reasons why I get jobs, is because I'm a team player. But yeah, I think working together with them and them knowing that I'm doing the same work that they are. I'm not like going to be up there in the office doing, you know, I'm on the computer, you guys go clean the toilets. Like, I'd be right there with them, like, every step of the way, you know, no matter what it was, making beds, cleaning toilets at that time, you know, like anything service. It was like, we need to get the job done together and we need to be successful. And I don't care what it takes. Like, if I also, you know, we're all going to be on the same level here, but we need to, like, accomplish these tasks and make sure that they're done and done correctly, or as correct as you could possibly get them. So I think that was kind of my approach at that time. And I still keep that with me. Like, even today, if I have somebody come help me with a big party, like, we're 50-50, and I want to know what their creative ideas are about it, or how could we do it more efficiently? Because I think that's allowing other people to give you their point of view allows you to have maybe a different angle or a different approach, so that you can be more efficient, or you can maybe be like, oh, I didn't realize, like, maybe I should have, you know, maybe pomegranate seeds would be good in that, you know, like, or something like that, or maybe this way is a better way. And I always tried to leave room for that. So that would be something I think that's kind of my leadership style, is that the teamwork does make the dream work. Right. Yeah. So, and especially in that specific role, that was like what I really think that's what they needed. Just kind of making it happen all together. But, yeah, I think, gosh, what was the other part of that question?
How do you deal with the stresses?
The stresses. Yeah. So I would at that point in time, I would take, you know, time to go for a skateboard, or, like, I was in New York a lot of the time. So there was a lot to kind of check out, in that area, and I would go for a quick skateboard, but I didn't really have a ton of time to do much else. And I didn't, mental health at that age, I didn't even know that was going to be a thing that would affect me.
And that was still early to mid 20s.
Yeah,
correct?
I think I was 20. Yeah, like 26. I don't know, 25.
Which is unfortunate that back then, or I don't even know, maybe 25, 26-year-olds right now aren't aware how important mental health is.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely was not putting myself in a good position. I was taking on too much, and I didn't take time for breaks. I didn't really, I mean, the most I'd ever really get to is like that skateboard or, you know, going out to have maybe one drink. I think I had one day off or maybe 3 days off really when I was up there. So
For like a whole
for like
summer,
6 months.
For 6 months.
Like 6 months.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so I think I didn't know to give myself the time to be mentally like in touch.
Separate yourself from the job every now and again to deflate as a human being and take stock in what it is you're doing, how much you're doing, why am I doing it, is it good for me? It is, we get wrapped up in our industry because of, I think, the outcome of the pay.
Yeah.
You know, the pay is quite large and it's quite nice, but we do give up quite a lot. And you saying that you only had 3 days off in a 6-month period, you know, people are like, what? But that's not what they get on the show. I see on the show they have breaks all the time. It's like, no, I did 73 straight days of work in the summer. And this was during COVID when everything's supposed to be shut down. Didn't happen. And we were going from country to country, cruising, working, you know, super early in the morning as a chef does, and, you know, till whatever time dinner's done at the evening, pull all your stuff for the next day. And we didn't even know when the end was.
Right.
You know, we had a really good captain, Captain David Haberly. Shout out David. No, Andy Haberly, my bad. So we'll edit that so it says Captain Andy Haberly. Shout out. Really great captain because he noticed what was going on with the crew and like different personalities, different ages, working a lot, stressful. And he saw kind of like, you know, and he knew how to kind of like get everyone back up in that energy because we didn't know when the owner was going to say, okay, we're done for the season.
Right.
Another point I want to point out, which was quite nice that you said was, you know, the quote, which is dream.
Oh, teamwork makes the dream work.
Yes, teamwork makes the dream work. And it's clear that you have that theory that we share on the Life Choices podcast, which is, you know, when you own a business or you're in a lead position, everyone works with you, not for you.
100%.
And that's a huge difference. And since you literally said like you wouldn't sit up there on doing the paperwork and letting the girls do all the laundry and the toilets, you know, I've seen the other side of that where, there's always the chief two sitting doing paperwork and not doing a toilet,
right?
You know, and it makes a huge difference to the younger people you're working with or the less experienced people that see, okay, this person's literally doing the same shit job that I have to do.
Yeah.
So I'm going to work harder for that person.
And you've got to lead by example, you know, 100%. Like if you want, and that's another way for them to learn is seeing you do it and do it, you know, the correct way or just being there to be like, hey, I'm with you. Like this sucks. Like we're in Capri and we're looking outside the window and it's gorgeous. And, you know, the guests are out there like hair's blowing in the wind and, you know, we're
Champagne's
just in there
flowing.
like scrubbing the toilet and like, you know, just getting like stains out of clothes and prepping napkins for dinner and all this stuff. And you're like, it sucks to be alone during that. You want to have somebody where you can have, you know, I've had some of my most fun times with girls just getting ready for dinner or whatever, you know, and that's, you know, you wouldn't expect that would be one of your fondest memories of being in Capri.
Right, exactly.
You know? But, I mean, just being able to do it together and to be able to maybe add like a silly factor to it or make it makes it much more enjoyable.
Lighten the mood.
Yeah.
Show that everyone's human and you can relax and have fun,
Definitely.
Even though you're dealing with the stresses of what it takes to be a stewardess on a yacht.
Yeah,
which is, I've seen it. It's not an easy job.
No.
You know, I'm in the galley, and we'll touch on this right after because you've also been in the galley. It's different as a chef because you have this area where if the guests come in, it's like having a dining party at your house. You know, people come into the galley, they want to chit chat. They want, oh my God, the food's so great. Oh my God. You know, and it's like, it's nice. I'm not saying I don't like hearing that stuff, but, you know, I also see like, you know, how hard the deckhands and the guys outside are like doing all the manual labor, lifting and lowering jet skis. And then I see the stresses that the girls are going through with like the constant changing of demands and requests of whether it's like not necessarily the owner, but maybe the owner's guests that are on there that don't normally get to
charter
see this kind of, charter guests that are like maybe
know.
once in a year, 2 years come on a boat. And it's difficult. So showing your team that, you know, hey, let's have some fun while we do it as well.
Yeah.
Definitely helps them. And I'm sure if I came across anyone that worked with you as a stewardess would probably hopefully say, oh, she was amazing, right? You never know.
Hopefully.
You never know.
I mean, like we've talked about before, when you're living with people, that also changes the dynamic and what they think of you thereafter.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as, you know, nobody wants to be like, oh, you know, everything that I'm about is about what, you know, other people think of me. You know, there's little bits and pieces of everybody that's like, oh, you know, I want this person to like me. I want people to like me, you know?
I mean,
like,
I don't think anyone sets out to want people
right.
to dislike them, right?
Yeah, right.
And
so
we try as humans to do a good job, whatever we're doing, in order for people to be like, yeah, that person's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, at the end of the day, it is, you know, when you do have that role, like if you have a second stewardess or a chief stewardess role, you do still have to be that person that sometimes is like, hey man, like that's not cool. We don't do that. Mm-hmm. Or, you know, you still have to have some sort of as much as you are the team player, that's where the job gets a little bit more challenging, is because you have to become.
You're still the manager.
Yeah, exactly.
100%.
Yeah, you're
and
still
not
manager.
Everyone loves the manager all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's just sometimes you gotta
crack the whip.
Exactly.
Yeah, it happens.
For sure.
So when you stepped away from the yachting as a chief stewardess for a little bit, and you went back on land and did the bartending, which, you know, you expressed wasn't the same as you had in Portland.
Yeah.
You know? When you decided to go to culinary school.
Oh, yeah.
What, again, like this, we're basically just talking about shifting mindsets. Like what was that? What was that mindset switch to go from the front of the house, hospitality? Now you're thinking, oh, maybe I should, you know, what's the back of the house like?
I'm really realizing that I was just all over the place for quite some time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I joined a boat after the land-based thing. I joined another boat, and the chef was often traveling with the owner, and that's when I think I kind of was like dabbling in the idea of moving into the back of the house. He would have, you know, maybe a guest come on, and the chef was traveling with the owner, and they'd be like, oh, but yeah, Annessa can just make him some breakfast or whatever. Like, your parents own a catering company, right? Or you can do that. And I was like, yeah, okay. Like, I did some culinary classes in high school. Why not? Let's give it a go. Yeah. And then I got like really into that, like, you know, the vegan baking stuff. And I was like, oh, can I make this without eggs? How? It was like science project. And I got really into that. And then I, you know, carried on in yachting for a little bit, and I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. I want to go to culinary school. I think I'm going to do that. And I kind of checked out some different places and figured out a way to basically be a stewardess on land in one of these large residential mansions we see here in South Florida. And I would work during the day from 8 until 5, and then I would leave exactly I couldn't be leaving later than 5:10 because then I'd be late for school. I'd head straight to school, and I'd be at school until 10:30. I'd go home, do my homework, whatever, wake up, do it the next day. And I knew that's just what I wanted to do. I just, like, even though it was really a long day every day and it was really exhausting, I didn't ever really dislike it. I was like, okay, I'm going to do this, and it's going to be awesome. It's going to be a game changer financially in this industry. Like, I can go back to yachts, and I can do, you know, I've got service and stewardess experience. Now I'm also culinary trained. Like, I can, you know, do all of these things. And I think at that time, the idea of being successful financially was what was really driving me. I was like, yeah, like I'm going to be able to really ask for whatever salary I want, and this is going to be great. And then I'll, you know, do charter, and I'll have all the tips and the money. And I didn't even go that route. I ended up, like, you know, working for a wonderful private family and a private yacht and their family. And it was not what I had in my mind at all, which is, you know, it usually happens that way where I'll expect something and it's just way different.
Well, things never seem to be the same as what we think they're going to be.
Right.
But that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Right. No.
But what I love about what you just said is you were literally working a 9 to 5.
Oh, yeah.
And then going and doing a 6 to 10. Or
pretty
later,
much.
Or later. In order to then change that, 6 to 10 to being your 9 to 5.
Exactly.
So that's a quote that we've used on here before.
Oh, really?
Absolutely.
Cool.
It's basically like, it's the hustle that I believe is important for me.
Right.
To get me to where I'm going. That's why I have a job on a yacht, and I then do the podcast.
You are doing that.
Yeah. And so now I do freelance. So sometimes I don't have a job on a yacht, but when I don't, then I do this even more. Like this week, we have 2 guests every day coming in. We're sitting down for 4 hours a day having conversation with 2 different people, usually 2 hours apiece. But the thing is making your 9 to 5 or using your 9 to 5 to support your 9 to 5 for your 5 to 9, so that it becomes your 24/7.
That's
something loosely like that.
The transition.
Which is the fact that you chose prolonged gratification over instant gratification, because you knew that you were being driven by the success you're going to have.
Yes.
Once you achieve this goal. Culinary school is not 2 days. It's not a month. It's a period of time that you take to learn a lot of different skills. And then you have to apply them on the job you got to earn the money that you then got.
Exactly.
To have the success that you now have.
Exactly. I think also I thought, like, when I'm done with culinary school, I'm just going to be ready. I'm going to go into it, and I'm already going to have all the skills to make, 20 people this beautiful plated dinner. And I didn't. Like, I was like, I paid all this money and I worked so hard, and I still feel like there's all this stuff that I wish that I learned. And that, all of that really just had to come with experience and learning from other people, which I didn't have a ton of, fancy chefs that I worked under or anything like that. I really learned a lot, I think, from the travel and in working as a stewardess. I learned so much to prep me for dinner parties and for things like that. So I really think having both of those careers and those skill sets, I think they really helped me be better at the position in the galley, and really helped me run my business now more efficiently. I think back and I'm like, okay, all of these things, sometimes things will be missing, and I'll be like, oh, do we have silverware? Did you guys get silverware? And I'm like, wait, I'm supposed to be cooking the food, not, but I think it's good. Like, it comes into that I'm working as a team again, maybe just not with like the same team every time, party planners or, other residential staff. Like, I think it helps everybody be successful if we all know each other's positions, but, it was definitely, that's pretty much what I did. I put my foot down and I was like, you're going to do this for as long as it takes, and then you're going to be a chef. And, even after I left culinary school, I was like, am I a chef now? I don't know. But
we've talked about that on this show. I've had at least 2 other people that the world would consider chef.
Right.
And the 3 of us have all kind of talked about the topic a little bit of like, what is a chef, and like, what's the title and all that. And it's the celebrityism of cooking that's become this chef thing.
Right.
For me personally, to this day, I'm 30 some odd years of cooking on whatever. And, on the boats, they call you chef. Like, your coworkers, like, when people come to me and say, hey, chef, how you doing today? I'm like, hey, Stu, how are you doing today?
Yeah, you don't know.
And the person's name's not Stu. It's a stewardess. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, whatever. But I still don't, like, I always say, like, listen, I'm not in a restaurant.
Right.
I don't have a brigade of human beings working with me. I don't have a staff of, like, 50 other cooks with me.
Right.
So I don't personally think of myself as that title. I honestly don't even understand how I still get to work for billionaires. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, I'm just cooking
amazing.
food. It's weird.
Yeah.
So yeah, the whole like,
but they like your food. So that's what keeps you there.
100%. Hopefully, maybe a little bit of the personality.
Yes.
You never know.
I think that's a lot to do with it too.
But it is an interesting title, I guess you could say, that people give us once we know how to cook.
Yeah, and it almost feels so prestigious. It's like, am I deserving of this title, chef?
I'm just, and then they see, like, for me, it's like, and then I know they're going to see me eventually in my regular clothes, which is like just shirt and t-shirt, and it's really like, I don't know. Am I that prestigious? I don't know. Literally just made you a lasagna.
Yep.
You take it from there.
Best lasagna you ever had, but I made you lasagna.
Yeah. But the learning on the job is quite interesting in the yachting industry, being in the galley. when I got into it, I had gone to culinary school and I had worked for many years in restaurants, but I never worked under a big famous name chef. I didn't learn gastronomy cooking. I didn't
All the fancy stuff.
Yeah, I didn't learn how to make pasta from scratch back then or anything like that. I learned what I learned from the chefs I worked with and the other coworkers that I had in kitchens. And then I applied the knowledge I got from culinary school and I went into yachting, and holy fuck was I surprised what had to happen. Because you're by yourself on most boats, unless you have a sous chef. But when you're first starting off, and the first few jobs you're going to be a solo chef on a yacht, which isn't going to necessarily be a small one. 120 feet was the small boat I worked on.
Right. Yeah, that's small to us now.
Right.
That's like
if
bigger,
you'd ask
bigger than
anyone
my house.
else, oh my God, you can put probably 2 of the houses I've lived in that. But then you wake up one morning and you're like, going to the galley, and you got to do all this work, and you're cooking for crew and you're cooking for guests. You're doing breakfast, lunch, and dinner for, anywhere, like my average is about 20 people a day.
Right.
And the boats I usually work on are between 150 and 170 feet long. So that's, roughly around 9-10 crew and 10 to 12 guests. It's a lot of mouths, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And I can do it now. Like now I wake up at 4:30 in the morning. I'm in the galley at 5. I'm having my coffee. I don't need to be up there that early, but it's my life. It's what I do.
Yeah.
I slowly get stuff going. But at the beginning, I was waking up that early and I was chasing my tail until 11 o'clock at night because I literally had no idea what I got myself into.
It's a lot. I think it really is. I think a lot of people don't understand how much the planning ahead of time, menu planning, and provisioning takes so much longer than you think it's going to. Every time I'm like, I can do this in an hour, and every time there's always something that takes it, just ends up being a whole other adventure. I think that stuff, and like just the actual time it takes to prepare something or make it look nice, it takes a long time. And there's a lot of things I think a lot of people don't see. Like you said, when you wake up at 4 a.m, you've got to start prepping all of that stuff so you can feed all of the crew, which maybe the guests don't realize you're also feeding the crew. And it's
they ask like, oh, how many people do you have helping you back there? And you're like, oh, I have these 2 people.
Yep.
That's it.
This is us.
This is the team.
Yeah. It's definitely, you throw yourself into those uncomfy positions, and you only get better every time, because you're making those mistakes, and or maybe not making those mistakes, but you're coming to those realizations of like, oh, how am I going to do this by myself? Like, I'm going to need the extra time. I'm going to need to wake up early, and I'm going to have to like figure out how to do all of this more efficiently. Can I prepare this the day before? Can I,
do I have time?
Do I have time to
yesterday?
Exactly. Yeah. Like, how can I use what I have in this also very small kitchen? Usually, I mean, there's some kitchens are on the yachts. Some of the galleys are.
I worked in really, really big ones, with all the fun tools and toys.
Right.
And I've worked on some like temporary jobs where I've walked into. I mean, I can show you pictures of what I've walked into because I've taken photos of everything.
Not a lot of space for storage.
Not a lot of space. Not a lot of like anything. You don't have the right tool that you're used to using.
Right.
Or God forbid you are prepared and you have everything ready, and then, we're human. We forget things from time to time.
Yeah.
And you're going to make your cake or whatever, and you're like,
did I put eggs in that?
Is there a whisk?
Oh, yeah.
There's just like some small thing, but then you have to make a plan.
Right.
You can't just stop and say, oh, no, I can't do that.
I do think being able to adapt to your environment, especially in our line of work and in yachting in general, is like so key. Like I think if
make a plan,
maybe you don't have something you still have, these people are expecting this one thing. Like, how are you going to make it happen? Like knowing that you have to make it happen and have to, maybe you have to use something you're unfamiliar with. Often.
We are not a library of every food in the world.
I know.
I would love to say I am, but not at all. And I can fully admit, like when I've said this on another episode, we get asked from time to time because we physically go out there with the guests. Hey, how you doing? How was the lunch? How's everything going? And then one guest will be like, hey, could you make and like, you don't want to say no, but you don't want to say yes and then not be able to do it. So I literally say, listen, I've not made that before. I'm pretty confident I have all the ingredients on board because that's how I stock a galley. Give me the day. Let me do some research. Google's amazing. Thank God we have that now.
YouTube now. These types of videos,
right?
Where you can go and learn how to.
Anything.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Back then, like 20 years ago, whatever, I couldn't imagine what these chefs did when they were asked that.
Pull out the joy of cooking.
Right? Dude, oh my God, I love that you said that. That book is with me on every single boat.
It's staples.
If I am on a boat, even for a month, if it's a month or more temporary job, I look, see what books they have there. If they don't have the joy of cooking, I ask the captain, can I put this in the Amazon cart? And
it's such a great book.
Dude, it has everything in there.
It has everything.
Tells you the how, the why.
Exactly.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I think those resources that we have now are just like, there's really, it allows for there to be, no limit to what you can create and make. Like, you can really get crazy.
And to touch on the situation you said where, like, learning your time management, which clearly we both have done to make our lives successful as a yacht chef, time management is important. Big reason why I wake up early is so that I have time in the day that if something doesn't work out, if a cake doesn't rise, if this sauce separates, you have time to do it again. That's an important thing about planning your day and knowing to have enough time. The concept that you said about being out of your comfort zone
happens
is amazing.
A lot.
I think in our position, it's actually a big key for me as to how I become successful at almost, I honestly don't know anything I've done in my life that I wasn't successful at. I may not have continued on doing it.
Right.
But I think anything I put my mind to, I've become successful at it to the level in which I'm happy with.
Right.
Because success to me is different than what success is to the next person.
Exactly.
And most of those times it was because, more than a decade ago, probably 15 years ago, my friend Melissa Sprague, shout out Sprague, told me, make sure you put yourself into uncomfortable situations.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She said, make sure you step out of your comfort zone. And it's true, though, because like you're saying, like, your successes come in part by putting yourself in those situations. Like, think about it. You literally worked in hospitality, front end of the house, right? You worked on yachts, front end. Not an easy job to do. Very uncomfortable at the beginning.
Yeah, it was definitely
Then you
different.
stepped away. You chose to step back in a new uncomfortable situation because you just went to culinary school. You haven't gone into the restaurant world on land, right? You went to school to learn the hows to and the whys we do this. And then you're like, fuck
Just
it.
book smarts, yeah, for sure.
And then you're like, fuck it, I'm going to get back on these billionaires' boats, and I'm now going to cook for these motherfuckers, right? That's that's very daunting.
It was, I guess I didn't realize how, like, wow, I really had some confidence back then.
Absolutely, yeah.
No, I feel like I definitely put myself in a lot of uncomfy positions, and I don't always enjoy doing that. Sometimes I think about it, I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it, and it takes me a while to make the decision, and I'm like, I'm not going to do that because, like, I don't know how to do it, or that would, I'd have to go and learn how to do this, or it'd be uncomfy, it'd be uncomfortable. Do I want to do that? And I think when I got really into yoga a while back, and that's really where the uncomfortableness, like the idea of that and that whole concept of being uncomfortable to learn to grow, kind of. One of my teachers, she had said that. She was like, oh, like the uncomfortable places are where you're going to find your biggest growth. And I was like, oh yeah, that sounds neat. Like, cool concept. I never really thought about it, with like my life. And now when I think about it, I'm like, wow, this is really like a fact. Like, when I am uncomfortable, that is when I move to, I can either learn something new to get to that next level, or I can just leave it, and that's going to be an area of weakness for me. What am I going to do? So I think learning to get uncomfy and put yourself in those different positions so that maybe you can make the mistake of doing something, maybe I make a cake and it's not correct. And then I try again and I'm like, wow, that works a lot better if I do it this way. Like, putting myself in those uncomfortable positions does really allow for you to grow in such huge ways.
And that's where your thick skin starts growing too. You say you didn't have it at the beginning.
I definitely didn't. I cried all the time.
But they didn't see it.
You just hide in your little tiny itty bitty bathroom that you can
1 by 1
only
foot
stand
bathroom.
in.
Yeah, you can't even lift your arm when you're showering. It's
oh my gosh. I don't miss those tiny showers. No.
I mean, I still have to do it for a couple more years.
Oh, yeah. Well,
until everyone out there starts subscribing and loving what we're doing here. Exactly. And then I can do this full time for you.
Let Bradley have a shower that he can move in. No.
I have a funny story I want to share with you because I was going to say this earlier. I know you're skilled in cake making.
Oh,
clearly.
Thank you.
Love it. You're very, very creative with everything you do there.
Thank you.
I did not know how to do a lot of baking when I got into yachting.
Baking and cooking are drastically, you think of them being one in the same. They're
completely.
So different.
Two different skills.
So different.
And when I got into yachting, like before I got into yachting after culinary school, I was like, you do your introductory to baking, whatever.
Yeah.
And my whole time was like, well, if I open a restaurant, I'm just going to hire a pastry chef. Like, well, I don't need to learn all this shit. And then, of course, about a year later, not even, I was in yachting, and here I am having to learn all about cakes and desserts and everything. And thank God for the joy of cooking, because there's a lot in there.
So many great recipes in there.
One of the boats I worked on, this is the story I want to share. It was a charter boat, and it was a kid's birthday. The parent wanted me to make a pirate ship cake.
Oh my gosh.
Now I think this might even before like Cake Boss was out.
Before all of like the fondant work and the crazy.
Like all the knowledge was
You just
really,
have to get it into the shape of a pirate ship.
Yeah, I had no fucking clue what to do. And I cut and I shaped and I tried to put it was.
How'd it come out?
Horrible.
Oh no.
I mean, horrible. Now, first off, I didn't have enough time because they asked me like in the morning to do this for the evening, so you don't have time to cool the cake and put it so it's like so when you cut it, it's not all crumbly everywhere and whatnot, and flip it over so you're using the smooth side to ice and whatnot. And I'm trying to make like a boat shape and then tower, and I'm just like I was the most embarrassing thing I've ever done in my life.
Oh, I hate those moments, but I've had plenty of those moments with cakes where I'm like, this is not coming out, or like this is horrible, and I think this is so ugly, what am I going to do? Or there's those other elements of like heat in Florida where fondant stuff starts melting off your cake. You spend hours crafting this stuff, and I just want to cry, and I'm like, oh, this is not turning out. But in that
galley,
area.
In the galley, though, with the temperature, people don't understand this about boats. Boats are usually very cold, but then the galley becomes super hot for some reason. You can't seem to cool it down enough. And then all of that affects all your desserts. Yeah,
everything, you know, like you've got stuff melting. You had this beautiful display, or I had handcrafted all these Legos on a cake and they started melting off. And I just was like, some of these things are recent, and it's just like that moment. I'm like, what am I going to do now? That moment is what gets you, to know in the future, like, how am I going to make sure that this doesn't happen the next time? Am I going to freeze the cake before, or am I going to do? And those moments really, I think, help you learn how to be better at that. And it sounds like that was the way it was with you in baking.
Oh, that was the last time I didn't know how to do it.
Exactly.
100%. After that, I
bet you make a mean pirate ship cake now.
I mean, tell you the truth, I haven't had to make a pirate ship shaped cake since then.
Right.
But I expanded my abilities, obviously, and knowing how time consuming it is to do a proper cake is what then dictates what the crew's going to get that day for lunch and dinner.
Oh, yeah.
No, you're not getting a really fancy meal. You're going to get a meal that I know how to bang out real fast, I'm not going to bring up anything, like a shepherd's pie, boom, that in a salad, and you're getting that, and that's it, because I need to make the missus's cake right now, because if I don't knock this out of the park for her, I might not be here tomorrow. Right. Maybe not tomorrow, but at the end of the trip, I might be told to go the fuck home. Yeah. And that's the thing that people don't understand is how easily, if you're not successful at what you're doing in the yachting industry, you could literally, and it could literally just be one thing that you didn't even intend to not do right. Yeah. Or just the way that you looked while you were doing something that day. Yeah. Maybe that just was not appealing. Or someone interprets what you said incorrectly. Oh, yes. Yeah. Yep. That, and then you're, it's not like they have to go to HR and file 15 complaints before they let you go. Like, way different. Well, we sign a contract. Well, I mean, we sign a contract that states that, they can basically. They're getting better. They're getting better about being fair and about giving people a little bit more of an opportunity to stand up for themselves or correct. Yeah. But,
when I first joined, it definitely was not
Oh, no,
like
I mean,
that.
most of
It
the
was like, you're gone.
yeah,
Like,
most of the contracts I sign are pretty black and white. We can let you go for no reason at all if we are willing, if within the 90-day trial period, if we decide we don't want to have you on board anymore, we have to pay you out 1 week severance or whatever it might be. If you make it past your 3-month probationary period, then we have to pay you out 2 weeks or a month. And we sign that. We sign that freely, willingly. Like, there you go. And then, you know, it happens, and you really can't rebut, which is unfortunate.
You give them the opportunity to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So, but, you know, I think in you saying that, like, that's where you're like, I've got to be successful at this. And it is a driving force, I think, to carry on being successful.
Absolutely.
Then.
Well, I think
that your livelihood.
It puts a little extra pressure on yourself as a chef on a yacht. And you are now dealing with a bit more stress on a daily basis, whether you like to admit it or not. It's in the back of your head. No matter how good you might be, there's still that element of, fuck, if I screw something up, that might happen.
Yeah.
Like, did that ever enter your head while you were working as a chef on the galleys?
Yeah, it still does. I mean, there are some days that I wake up and I'm like, I have this huge task. Like, this is a party that's really important to somebody, or this is, you know, this is something that is really special for somebody. And like, can I do it? Like, can I make this what they're imagining, what they really, really want? Because like, maybe they're not going to hire me again if I screw it up, you know, like, and I think sometimes a little bit of that self-doubt, it will keep me awake all night sometimes. And I'm like, am I going to, you know, can I make all of this happen in this amount of time? And I definitely push it sometimes with saying, yes, I can make this happen. Yes, I can make this happen. And like, my belief is that I can make everything happen.
Of course.
You know, and it will be successful. And I go into it like that. But there are moments of like doubt where I think, oh, can I actually do it? And I've really learned, I think, to trust myself and trust my ability. And
trust the inside.
Yeah, I mean, it's in there. I know I can do it. I've done it before. But I always have those kind of jitter feelings in certain moments of not knowing, like, if I'm going to get all the food out on time, or if these people are going to be happy with me, or if they're going to like their cake, or maybe it's all a disaster. Like, I don't know. Maybe there's not enough food. Gosh, that would be the worst.
The
like,
worst
not
possible,
have enough,
right?
Not have enough food for the amount of people that are there, because sometimes you've got surprise guests, and
always,
you know,
have surprise
so
guests.
I've learned now to adapt and make sure I have plenty of food. But there's always those thoughts that run through, I think, and you're wondering, like, can I do it? And I think that I do have to sometimes coach myself, and I'll have to look in the mirror and be like, you do this all the time. Like, trust yourself. You've got it. Just go do it. And don't be afraid to use the help that's offered. Like, so if somebody is like, oh, can I help you? I'm trying to get better at being like, oh, you know, like, yeah, like, can you cut these burger buns, or cut, you know, just make sure, like, cut these bagels in half so that they can just, you know, whatever, like, then put them on a plate. You know, I'm trying to be better at that. If somebody's going to offer help, I need to just be like, okay, yeah, I need help.
I'm horrible at that.
It's so bad. It's hard.
I'm horrible at it because
I
just like, I want to accomplish it on my own.
Yeah.
That is definitely one of my downfalls, I guess, when I'm thinking about cooking in a galley. I have that inner monologue all the time with myself. No, I have the inner monologue of like, you got this. Like, no matter what is being thrown at me. My bigger concern is the crew than it is the owners and guests.
Okay.
The owners and guests have never been an issue for me.
Okay.
It's weird. I've never been nervous to cook for these people.
Wow.
Ever. I'm like, they hired me. I've been in the gambit for 15 years. I'm like, I clearly know how to do it more times than not. For me, luckily, knock on wood, an owner usually asks me, oh, what are you doing after this job? Like, oh, what are you doing? Like, oh, are you available?
Yeah.
And so that always kind of gives you that little bit extra confidence of like, okay, I got this shit. But I still have the inner monologue. Like, when I'm told this is the missus's birthday, it's super important, she's having her friends over, you can't, like, they're more or less saying in a nice way, don't fuck it up.
Right.
And so the whole time, like, because we have this long day where we have the crew food, the guest food, crew food, guest food. And it's like, it's that dessert, that cake at the end of the day at the dinner that has to be like the whole day. And the whole day you're just like, I got this. I know I only have, I got an hour and a half, and then crew lunch. Okay, then I have one. Okay.
The crew lunch creeps up on you.
Yeah, and it's just there. And then you're like, okay, no, okay, I just got to do the dessert. No, okay, no. And then the whole time I'm just like, you got this, dude. Don't fucking worry about it. You know you got it. And it
I
just
feel like
happens.
it's important.
Yeah.
I don't know. It definitely has become part of, you know, my daily routine is like I'm going in and I'm like, okay, you know, what time is it? And I do the same. Like the time is always just, it's just going away all the time.
We say it
it's just fast and it moves.
We have said this so many times on here. Time is not on your side.
No, it is not.
Yeah.
No.
In so many different platforms. Trying
to get those things done as efficiently as possible, but as delicious and beautiful as possible is it can be a real challenge for sure. And I think that, you know, just I'll always tell people, I warn them ahead of time. I'm like, I'm going to be talking to myself this whole time. And I'm in the kitchen and I'm like, what are you doing now? What's going on? And I'm just like, I have to just kind of keep myself in check. And that's, like you said, the inner monologue where you're like, I can do this. Come on. You know, like, I think that really,
it's important.
It's important to believe in yourself in that way.
Absolutely.
And to trust yourself that way.
And I think that can cross over to any field for anybody doing anything.
Definitely.
Like, even if you're an author, or if you're an editor or a screenplay writer, like you just got to know, I got this, I can do this. And there's nothing wrong with talking to yourself in that aspect. I
look a little crazy every now and again.
Yeah,
but,
who's not a little crazy?
Yeah, that's true.
I always tell the people I work with, because I'm a talker, clearly, I always tell them that if I'm not talking or if I seem like I'm in a mood, you can ask me once, like, hey, are you okay? And if I just like, nah, you know, I'm good. Don't bother asking me again, because that without a doubt, I know me very well. That will annoy the fuck out of me. But if I'm not okay, I'm going to be quiet. Just give me a little bit. Just give me an hour, give me 30 minutes. I'm going to do my inner monologue. I'm going to get me back to where I am. And before you know it, I'll be talking to myself out loud. I'll be singing to the music that I have playing in my little JBL beside me, and everything will be fine.
That's the best. You gotta kind of just get back onto that positive thinking. Is so important too in our line of work, because you can get like, especially on the yachts, you can get kind of like in a negative space if you're not able to enjoy the life around you. But yeah, that I think getting yourself to a place where you're positive again and you're able to like be like, yeah, I'm ready for action again, and like, you know, having your team members help you with that, get you back to a place where you're amped up.
Hey, the help I ask for from time to time, be honest, is, hey, can you grab me a cappuccino? Can you make me a coffee?
Yeah.
Like, if anyone that's worked with me knows,
coffee to a chef is like,
oh
gold.
My Lord. And I try to step away from coffee, so nowadays it's more of a tea, but on occasion I'll still love the coffee. But any coworker of mine that brings me a coffee or asks me if I want a cup of tea, I mean, first off, that just brightens up my day.
Oh, yeah.
Right away, I'm just like, wow, this human being is thinking about me right now.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like we do get kind of like, you know, got the blinders on and we get into our little zones and worry about us. But that just kind of like puts me, so even if I am slightly in not a positive mood, that all of a sudden changes, you know, amps me up.
That's awesome.
Because you brought it up, the positive mindset and whatnot. So want to get into some of the good things, but what are some tactics, some practices that you do, whether it's the yachting or anything else in life, when the negativity, when the cloud comes in, because it comes on all of us from time to time for no reason.
Every once in a while, yeah.
What is a practice or two that you might do to kind of get yourself back into the right path?
I am fortunate to be able to reach out to a really good support group. I've got my husband and some of my closest friends that I'll, you know, kind of reach out to and be like, it's just not going right today. Like, what is going on?
Yeah.
So I feel lucky to talk it out, and be able to kind of like, sometimes when I put it out in words, it's easier for me to be like, oh, you know, like, you might be the problem here. Like, and I realize, okay, like, you got to sort your stuff out. But that, and like, also, I think there are times where, you know, like we've talked about, things just aren't going right. And I feel like sometimes that can be hard to get out of. And just taking a moment, I think, to be like, I'll go like have a sip of a coffee or something. I don't really have time to do that very often while I'm working. But if things are really just negative and not looking good for me, I'll be like, I got to go over here and just take a quick 2 minutes. And I just try to time out and like close my eyes. I'm like, all right, it's going to be fine. And then I'll take a deep breath and carry on. And I'll usually try to get into a place, but of being like ready again for that. And where it is me, a lot of times I I don't always have somebody to, maybe bring me a coffee or cheer me up, but there have been many places where thinking of specifically, I just did a big function for Easter, and this awesome chick that I work with, she's also a great chef from Costa Rica, and she's awesome. And I never realized how much more important she is now, like, because when we're working these big events, I really was getting down on myself about something, and I felt that negative kind of feeling, and she was like, "Hey girl, you got this, you got it. It's like, it's fine, like, let's grab a coffee, I'm gonna go over here, I'm gonna help you out with this, and like, it's good, everything's great." And I was like, wow, like, I didn't realize later in the day, I was like, that really amped me up. It changed the game. And like, just like trying to focus on those words of kindness from people, like, or even thinking about the day before, like something that was successful, like, how can I use that to try and make myself positive about where I'm going from here? Because otherwise I'm just going to get wrapped up in that negative, and I'm going to be making these mistakes over and over, or I'm going to be like just in this mood, and I don't like it. I don't like the way it feels. Nobody else likes me when I'm in this mood. Like, what can I do? So that I really used to be able to do a lot of yoga to kind of mentally release all of that stuff. I don't have as much time anymore to do that. I really want to include it again, because I think it's a wonderful practice, especially for people in our industry.
I love it. Yeah.
Just taking time to like actually
Center
meditate,
yourself.
be with yourself, and be like, okay, like, get centered, go do your thing, But yeah, I think I guess I do rely on others a lot to kind of help me get back to a place of that. I mean, at the end of the day, it does come down to me getting myself back to the positive, but
you have to make the choice.
Right.
Absolutely.
And I have an extremely positive husband. He's,
oh my God. So that's how we met, actually, was through your husband, because Ronaldo, shout out Ronaldo.
Hey, Ronaldo.
We met through him, and he and I had worked together for a bit on a boat, and probably one of the most positive human beings I've ever met in my life.
He's taught me so much in positivity.
To this day, I still use a small little phrase that he taught me, which is simply, just believe.
Oh, yeah.
That's it. Like, when I first met him, I remember the first time I met this kid, actually. I'm not going to lie. We were at Rybovich Marina on the yacht. He came for an interview. He just came for the interview, and he was so confident that he got the job. Like, he's in the crew mess, and he sits up on the counter, like where where the crew food goes, whatever. And I just remember him sitting there with a big smile on his face, and yeah, it was just like. And then he got the job, obviously, because his personality was awesome and
charismatic,
and
positive.
Anytime something was not going in the most positive direction for myself, he was like, "Brad, just believe, man. Just believe.
Oh gosh,
it's okay. Just believe."
It's totally like him, and he's done that to me too. And honestly, I've learned so much about how to shift, from a negative perspective to a positive one, and from him, just because he does have that. Just it's like effortless for him to be positive. I'd love to get to that level,
right? But however, and this is what I like sharing with other people. I'm obviously going to have Ronaldo on the show eventually.
Oh yeah, you'd love that.
The thing is those people that have that ability, and clearly both you and I feel the same way, and many other people that know Ronaldo probably would say the same thing about his positivity, is the people that have that have clearly gone through some shit.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he's worked a lot to be that.
The backstory of what any of us go through, that are now in a situation where we have the self-awareness to be positive, or to quickly eliminate the negative from coming in, absorbing it, allowing it to be there, figuring it out, and moving on from it. It's because we've had practice with the shit.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's a very important factor. And there's nothing wrong with that. We all have a backstory. We all go through it.
Right.
It's okay to go through it, figure out how to maneuver into the positive from it, which is really important.
Yeah, that skill is life-changing.
Yeah.
I think being able to, because if you have that positive mindset, you can do anything, like I'm positive I can do this, and I know, today is just going to be a great day. And
I say that so many times when I'm like literally when I'm driving to the gym in the mornings, some days you wake up and you just, I'm not really feeling it today.
Yeah.
I'm not really feeling like being me today. And that one simple thought is like, no, I'm going to have a great fucking day today.
You got to coach yourself.
Yep.
You come back to that, coaching yourself
that.
and getting yourself ready for that, for, you know, what. Oh, there's a Joy cooking right there.
Oh, no doubt. On the floor, 100%.
I just realized I'm like, wait a minute.
I have it everywhere. It's from what I understand, I think it's like the #1 cookbook in all of North
Sorry,
America
I just realized that, and I was like, wow.
Yeah, I have my whole library over here.
Yeah. So I think, going back to that, I think it's really important to stay positive.
Well, on the positivity topic, what are some of the greatest aspects of, and let's just still focus, we'll wrap up on the yacht in a bit and we'll move on, but what are some of the greatest aspects of what you've done successfully as a yacht chef and even as a chief stewardess on yachts?
I feel like I've been most successful on yachts as a chef and a stewardess at building relationships. I think that is probably one of my strong suits in that I've kept relationships where now I have clients that I used to work on their boat, and I have now here land-based that I'm working for as a private chef even years later. So I think that's been one of my biggest successes with that. I think all around it really gave me a lot of perspective, and it just helped me kind of hone my skill set and get me ready for being a business owner. So I think that was definitely one of the experience of the travel and learning different foods and different people, and kind of understanding, what may be a popular food in other areas. And I don't know. I think that would probably, just the all-around experience was just amazing, but it's hard to nail down, I think. The best one. Best.
Great segue anyways. I mean, they talk about gaining skills in order to become your own business owner. So after a certain amount of years in yachting,
yes,
you then made the choice to leave it again.
Yes.
Because now again, you figured out what your passion was earlier in early 20s. You love hospitality. It's what you want to go after. You got into a job that was very lavish to look at, yachting. And then you stepped away, you came back and you fell in love with cooking.
I really did, to the point where there were nights where I'd be cooking and my husband or my family would be like, "Are you done? Like, it's already 11 and can you be done?" And I'd be like, "I just want to bake one more thing." Or it did get to a point where I was just kind of going and going and going. And
Obsessed.
At that point, I wasn't making money practicing on all of this stuff or anything. I just was, having fun and enjoying it. And I think when I realized that I was enjoying it so much that I would be baking and doing these things into the night, that I probably should try and, make money off of it land-based as well. Or use it as a career, because if I enjoy it so much, it's not going to, every day I'm going to be like, yes, this is great. I get to do what I enjoy. And there are, like we talked about, there are challenges, but
always,
because I'm doing what I love, those challenges don't feel so heavy.
Right. They're easier to deal with.
Yeah. They're things that I am ready to tackle because I'm enjoying myself and I'm doing what I really love. So in doing that, when I moved to land-based, and I didn't even realize that I wanted to be a business owner. I was always like, no, that's not for me. I don't like business. I don't like numbers. I'm not into any of that stuff really. I ended up having a little child, ended up having a baby, and that really changed things for me because I couldn't just jump on a yacht and be, here or there. Yeah. I had to think about, what am I going to do with my baby? I want to be near my child. And for a long time, I didn't know how I was going to work again. I'm like, how am I going to work again? I love cooking. I don't have any time to do it now because I'm also
you're a mom.
I'm a mom. What am I going to do? And COVID happened, and I kind of ended up getting into doing some random baking projects for folks. They'd be like, oh, can you drop off a cake here? So-and-so needs a sugar-free cake. Can you drop it off here? And I picked up these random projects, and I didn't really realize it was going to become a business. And I started getting more and more, and then I started getting asked to do some different functions when people were coming back together after being locked in their homes for so long. They wanted to do stuff. They wanted to have brunches, and they wanted to have, dinner parties again. And I got asked to do some of these things, and I'm like, this could be a business. Yeah. Like, I've never thought of being a private chef or a land-based chef. I always just thought like, oh, I'll probably have to go work in a kitchen, or I'll probably have to start from the bottom and work my way up again. And I think when I realized that I could make that transition, and I could go from being kind of having a similar career as what I had in yachting, but land-based, and that I would be able to balance that somewhat with having a child, that was like this, it clicked, and I was like, that's my business. Like, that's what I'm going to do. And with some, some positive talk from my husband, like the encouragement, I did take the leap, and I was like, this is going to be it. I'm going to be a private chef. And I feel like I've had a lot of small successes with it that make me feel like it's really successful.
Right.
And I feel like I'm headed in the right direction now. Every time that I'm thinking about my business or my work, I'm like, wow, like the thing I'm really like still working on is that balance. Like, where's the balance of what am I ever going to feel like I've got it all? Like I feel like I've got a good balance with being a mom, or a good balance with being, a professional, a working person, like that runs a business. Like, am I ever going to feel like that? Yeah. And I don't actually think I ever will. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to feel.
Do you need to though?
No,
I mean, I think because what you've expressed to us here today is taking yourself out of your comfort zone, putting yourself in uncomfortable situations is how you succeed and how you strive to become better at what you're doing.
Right.
Having that train of thought of, will I ever be happy with the balance between, work life, mom life, wife life, all that together, is I think maybe that feeling is what keeps pushing your success, because you are mentally aware that you want to put enough effort into all of those categories.
It's a driving force for sure, the family side of it, and then the passion side of it. And it's like really what I think that's true. Like, it is what keeps me having those sleepless nights where I'm like, am I going to do a good enough job? Like here or here or here. And I want to be successful in my business so that I can be successful for my family, but I also want to be successful in my family so I can be successful in my business. They're all one and the same now.
Mm-hmm. Well, it sounds like a great measuring aspect that you have there is putting them both on the other side of each other, knowing that if you do good in one, the other one will benefit from it, and vice versa.
I think so.
It's an amazing outlook on how
Thank
to do
you.
that. I don't have a wife. I don't even have a girlfriend, to say that at the least. I definitely, I've said this many times, I don't have children that I know about.
Oh my gosh.
I joke around about it because I don't know.
Right. You've been a lot of places.
I've traveled. I'll say that. But that being said, it's a topic that seems to come up quite often on our podcast here, is children and parenthood and whatnot. And I've said this before, like, depending on how we lay out these podcasts, I might have said it last week.
Right.
I understand the theory behind it.
Right.
I don't understand the practicum behind it, because I'm not there.
Right.
So I know what the good aspects of having a kid is. What is a good, how can I phrase this? What is one of the toughest parts for you being a parent who's also a business owner?
Oh gosh. The toughest part would be just wanting to be there all the time for everything and not miss any moment that he is going through. But or anything, like any of those, they say all these cute little things. They grow so fast, they grow faster than you could ever imagine. I blinked and he's 4 now. It's crazy.
Wow.
So I think not wanting to miss any of those moments, but knowing that I have to, as a business person, and I have to do these functions, or I have to, I have a dinner party, or I have this, and that takes time and preparation, and it takes time away from him, which I don't want to do. Mm-hmm. But I also need to in order to provide him with a really good education or make sure that, he's got everything that he needs, to provide for him, but also...
So he doesn't go without.
Right. But also I want him, there's part of that where I want him to see like that it's good to be motivated and it's good to work and be passionate about something. So I'm not all the way upset with how much time it takes. But there are times where I'll try to include him in my work, like I did have to take him to a work function one day. I had a sitter who got sick and just didn't work out. I had to bring him with me. I had to do something and drop something off for a function. And it was really uncomfortable for me. Yeah. He had a blast, but I wasn't really ready for those two things to become one, together, I guess. Yeah. I think that's like we talked about before with the time slipping away is one of the toughest things. And I mean, there are days too where, my husband works a rotation. He's gone 2 months and then he's back 2 months. So he will be, maybe sometimes he's completely not in the area. He might be in Europe. He could be in Nova Scotia for 2 straight months. And then it's just me and the little guy. So like I said before, finding that balance of like, how am I going to be the best mom for him, but also be able to run my business and not disappoint my clients. Like I feel like that's a really tough part for me. And there are days where, kids get sick.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What am I going to do when he gets sick? And I my mom is here and she's a great support for me too. I can call her and she'll try to work with me. But there are days where I just, I've knock on wood, I haven't had to cancel any functions or parties yet. I've been able to, do it all. I don't want to jinx myself, but
hey, life happens to the best of us.
Yeah, life happens. That's
we
really
say this often here is like the better you do, the more successful you become. Life really throws itself at you. It really wants to try and knock you off its course, and staying focused. And I think having the right mindset that you do and what's 100%. Important to you is what's helping you get there. And without a doubt, because I know both you and your husband Ronaldo, Julian, yeah, Julian's going to grow up with great direction. You know what I'm saying? Seeing how focused the parents are and how hardworking they are at providing what is necessary for him to grow into a wonderful human being as well. Thank you. I'm telling you that just from an outsider, like you guys do a great job individually, and I can only imagine what you guys are like as a unit, together. So conversely, since that's like, the toughest aspect, what's like one of like the best aspects of being, a parent and a business owner?
I think I'm always feeling really like personally great about that. Like I'm not working for somebody else. I'm running a business, and he sees, even though he's very young, he sees me do that. He sees, he's going to know that kind of like lifestyle, and it will be a possibility for him. He'll see it as, this is something I could do someday. I could own my own business and do what I love. I think being able to be a role model for him is really awesome. The other great parts, I think, being able to expose him to a lifestyle that both my husband and I have, grown into with yachting and travel. I think being able to own my own business and being like, okay, I don't have any functions at this time period. I've notified all my clients I'll be gone. I can close up shop and take a month to go to a different place, or sometimes a little longer than a month. Yeah. I do need to plan ahead, obviously, but there those really great moments of travel and experience that we have as a family that I think it's really untraditional for a lot of people. But being able to expose him to different environments, whether it be,
he's gone to South Africa.
He's gone to South Africa. Yeah. He's gone so many places. He's he's traveled here and there on the way to South Africa, through Amsterdam, through all over the place. And we're trying to expose him to as much travel and as much life as possible, we're in June. We're taking him to Montana. We're going to go explore some of our own parts.
I would love
in the
to go to
U.S.
Montana.
We're really excited about it, and we're just trying to keep that in his life, like him knowing like that there's so much of the world out there. And I think for me being a business person, like that's probably the best part of having both of those things, is that I can be like, okay, we're going to go and do this, and nobody's going to be like, you can't have that time off. Like the only person that's going to say that is me. And I'm pretty hard on myself about it sometimes. I'm like, can I do that? Can I do that? But at the end of the day, I just see so much value in that for him. And I really, I think it's more important.
But not just for him, the value in it for yourself, the value in it for your husband.
Actually, that's true too.
Yeah, the fact that like, and again, this is why I think most of us want to become an employer rather than an employee, is you get to set your parameters. And I think it's unfortunate that we've grown up in a society that dictates that you only get 1 week a year off, or maybe 2 weeks a year, depending on the job that you have. And that's all you get to go and explore this beautiful rock that we live on.
There's so much.
So much
out there. I never knew.
Yeah, the map up
I never
there is
knew.
what I've done.
And I'm looking at that now. I'm like, look at that map.
Yeah, it's more than most people ever get to do in their life is already done. And I still feel like I haven't really gone.
There's still so much.
There's more than what I've gotten up there to do. You know? So being an employer, I think, is a very important fact, and that's why we all need to go after what our passion is and become successful at it in some way, so that you can then dictate to yourself when it's time to take some time off and where to go and how to do it, and hopefully have the means and the funds to do it in a fun way.
Yeah, that's for sure one of the best parts for me about all of my businesses, that I can do that with my family. I can make those memories, and I can take that time where sometimes I don't realize how much I'm going to be like a little bit stressed out about it, because I'm like, I'm not going to work for a whole month and a half or a whole, like this whole time period. And when I come back, will I still have my clients? I don't know.
Of course you will.
I mean, then I have to get myself back in that mindset of like, yes, you will, you have a great relationship with these people, and, this is, you enjoy it, they enjoy it, calm down. But
and the catering company is called?
I have Darling Kitchen LLC. It's my company.
Yeah.
Yeah. My maiden name's Darling, so I just kept that. I thought it was cute, catchy.
Gotcha. And you've been doing the catering now for how many years?
I started my business probably officially like the beginning of last year. Okay. And before that, I had just kind of done it freelance, not really realizing the direction it was going in. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it, and I'm really kind of now at a place where I'm like, what's the next step? How am I going to grow? Where am I going from here?
Okay, that's excellent.
So
because we talk about growth is important.
Yeah.
And no one ever should want to be stagnant. No one should ever want to be complacent.
Right.
If you're going after something, if it drives you, if it excites you, if it's something that doesn't feel like work, some days it will.
Yeah,
that's
some
life.
days.
Some days it will. You still gotta, we do have to pay bills.
Right.
In this society, you cannot live in a place for free. You need to pay rent. You can't eat for free. You need to get groceries. So yeah, work is work sometimes, but when you love doing it, it's less feeling like that.
Right.
And when you plateau or get your company to where you want it to be,
when you get comfortable,
you need to get uncomfortable.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so.
So is there any? Maybe we're brainstorming here right now for the first time
like
today,
this.
But
Let's do it.
is there any like thoughts as to what is next? Like, do you do everything out of the home right now? Do you have a facility?
I usually go to, just as we do on yachts, I go to the actual person's home on premise, and I set up and do all of the cooking from their kitchen. And yeah, that's kind of that level. Like I guess it could go anywhere. I could get another like an actual kitchen and pump out meals from there. I don't know. I'm not really sure. That doesn't really feel like it sparks much passion in me, to be honest.
Right.
When I think about it, I really like being able to have that FaceTime with my guests.
The one-on-one, yeah.
And with other people. I definitely am a people person in that way. So thinking about what the next step is, I've thought about, how could I structure like maybe cooking classes, or how could I, there
was
are
gonna
other
ask
things
you.
where
Yeah.
I think about it, and right now is my slow time. So May is always very expensive, but very slow for business. And yeah, I've kind of had some time that I haven't had recently to think about this stuff, and it can be a little bit overwhelming, but I think you kind of need that time to brainstorm and get creative, and that's
I have a great suggestion.
what I'm working on. Oh, what is this? I have a great
suggestion for you, and you probably already have all the equipment at home. You have a cell phone.
Yeah, oh yeah,
you have a cell phone. Okay,
it's somewhere.
Do you have like a little mini, like one of those handheld things to do your selfies or whatever from back?
Selfie
like a little stuff or like a little.
Oh, I have
tripod?
like a tripod. Yeah.
Excuse me. Start a YouTube channel.
Start. Really?
I'm telling you. I know. I absolutely know. I'm telling you right now, you should be filming and taking photography of all of your stuff. You should document all of your cooking. I'm so bad about that too. You don't even have to technically be in it. You should be, okay?
Okay.
But you don't have to be. It could be your hands. It could just be the item. It could be the product, whatever.
I see some really great ones out there.
That's what I'm saying.
Can I do that though? Here I come again with
1,000%. You can do it.
Got to coach myself back to that.
And you can do it in the slow times so that the slow times aren't slow.
That's a good idea.
Even start. I'm sure you have an LLC. I don't know the steps to do this, but you could, I'm sure, figure out how to have people place orders and send. And there's got to be a delivery service that could take your, hey, you need a birthday cake, Valentine's Day cake, whatever it is.
Oh yeah,
and then you have month of May, I'm not busy. You know what I'm saying? Like there's so many. It's food.
Yeah,
people need food all the time.
It is, and it's like that season. I have that seasonal kind of lull like we do in yacht. Not that yachting ever has really like a slow season, but for Florida, for South Florida, usually the boats are taking off for the summer. Nobody's here for the summer. They're gone. Nobody wants to sit in Florida in the 1,000-degree. Yeah, they're taking off. So like a lot of my clients go with like they're on charters. They're doing this, and I've noticed that in this couple of years that I'm starting this business is that's a thing, and I need to be aware of it and be conscious financially, but also like, what am I going to do during that time period? I'm still kind of discovering that.
How many people have birthdays and celebrations during those months while they're away? Because there are people that obviously live in South Florida all year round.
Yeah, that's true.
You could capitalize on that very easily. And whether it's an Instagram, a TikTok, a YouTube, whatever it is, I think it's something you should look into.
Okay.
It can be overwhelming. Trust me. It's a lot. There's a lot that goes on, and there's a lot that one needs to do to stay relevant and create a following and become popular, I guess you'd say, in order to get the people to come into you. But you have something tangible.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? You have a tangible product that people can purchase.
Right.
Here on the Life Choices podcast, we're trying to earn people's time.
Right.
We're trying to earn people's free time that they have, or during their work time to put in their earbud and listen. The driving time. That's what we're trying to earn here. So we're trying to give them resources on how individuals are making their own lives successful, and maybe they can implement those practices into their lives. You have a tangible product.
Right.
You can definitely, I think, take yourself to the next level. Different level, next level, that's bigger level, and branch out and do more.
I know I need to do it, and I'm getting to a place now where the past 2 weeks I've felt that uncomfy, and I'm like, oh gosh, what's next? And I know usually when I start feeling like this, I'll end up, something will come up.
Something will show up.
And it's usually when I'm not ready for it, and I'm like, oh no, like this, what's happening? And then, before you know it,
you're on to the next big opportunity. Yeah.
But this is a great idea. I really do think,
at the very least, have a laptop, have your phone out while you're having your morning coffee.
You're going to have to learn some new skills.
Well, no, you don't. Well, yeah. You do need to learn the social media skills, and let me tell you, it's not as hard as you think. It's just, again, you got to put the time into it, but it's worth it.
Yeah,
I think so, because you get to continue doing what you love to do, and I think you might even fall in love with sharing that experience that you have with other people. And it can come like in so many different shapes and forms. You can, maybe someone hollers at you and says, "Listen, I love your cooking. We have a school. Would you like to come and educate people?"
Oh, yeah. That's a whole other thing you never think about. See, that's why having another perspective is so amazing, because there are so many things that maybe you in your own head are not going to think about or realize, and then somebody else will make mention of it, It's like, I never thought of being an educator. I never probably would have ever stumbled on that.
I can't wait till I am.
You know, like myself, I never would have come up with that idea, but I bet I would truly, like, I bet I would really enjoy something like that.
I think the fulfillment from it would be more than anything.
It'd be so gratifying to know that you've helped somebody
change someone's life.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Even if it's just one.
Exactly.
Just one person. Yeah.
Exactly. I think that's wonderful.
So there's a thing called a master. Well, there's master class, which is a totally different thing on YouTube where you can pay and learn things.
I've seen something about that.
There's another thing that we've talked about before, which is a mastermind group. Okay. It's I'm developing this amongst people I know, and I think you should probably join.
Okay.
You're actually the first female that I've thought of, to tell you the truth, to join the group because of what you just said there, which is affirming exactly what the group's about. Cool. I have 2 or 3 gentlemen already who have been guests on here that are going to be part of the group. And basically what it is, a mastermind group, for anyone out there that doesn't know, is a group of people that you obviously enjoy and respect, and they are not in the same field that you are necessarily. Some of them could be, but they could be in different aspects of that field. And what it is once a month, once a week, whatever, whether you meet physically at a spot, or nowadays we can do Zoom and Facebook and not Facebook, FaceTime and all that. But you're meeting on an occasional basis to sit down and do just that. Just brainstorm about business ideas,
I think that's
or
so
life ideas.
awesome.
Yeah, and it's just like, because it doesn't matter what aspect of business or life you're in, somebody from outside of that, you know, looking in, might have an idea that you might not have come up with.
Exactly.
And that's the whole purpose of it, is to help each other become more successful and level up and become better at whatever it is you're doing.
I think that's so awesome.
And I'm looking forward to it. I'm slowly picking, because you don't want too many voices in the conversation, but you don't want not enough.
Intimate enough to gain maybe new perspective, new skill, new friendship even,
exactly.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I've thought about that before with the chefing side of things. I'm like, how can I learn new skills but not pay, you know, $10,000 for a new course online that maybe I wouldn't get so much from? And I think something like that is a great idea. Yeah. Like, you could really, I think, especially if you have people from different fields.
Absolutely.
You know, you've got, like we talked about, how stewardessing and being in the back of the house and the galley are very different jobs, but knowing both or learning a little bit about both, it just gives you that advantage. So I think it's a wonderful idea.
Putting yourself in other people's shoes, whether it's in work or in life, is a huge help, because very common topic. You never know what someone's going through.
Oh my gosh, yeah,
you know? And being able to possibly understand what they're going through, as in, like, what do they do in life, what do they do in work, is just a helpful human trait, I believe. And being able to learn those from other people, which is another aspect of the mastermind group, is not just, oh, what's a good idea for me to do to get better at what I'm doing, or what's a good idea for business-wise so I can create more, you know, side hustle, side money, but like you'll learn life lessons.
Right.
You'll learn how someone else got through something.
Right.
And that's what we do here on the Life Choices podcast, is we have conversations between 2 people, with everyone listening and watching, that hopefully learns something about their life through what we share about our life. I think that's very important nowadays, is the sharing aspect. You know, we shouldn't be worried about someone else becoming more successful than we are. We should worry about, how do we help other people to become more successful.
I really like that. I think that that's an awesome outlook on it. And I think, you always have, you think about success and you're like thinking, oh, these people are so successful, and, you know, how am I going to be successful? And I think being able to have a group, or have resources to even learn how, like, not even learn how, but just to kind of hear other people's experiences, to you know, have the opportunity to become successful in certain ways, or just the opportunity to, you know, learn how, like you said, like how somebody else went through a specific thing, or dealt with a specific challenge, so that maybe if that comes to you, you're ready, you know, or you might not even realize that you need that information, and something comes along, and later on you're like, oh man, like that Life Choices podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
this is the same kind of thing. And
This is what they were talking about.
Yeah, this is what they were talking
Yeah.
about. And now I can use this, this information that I have to be better or, you know, get through this moment. So I think that's really, really amazing that you guys are doing that.
Yeah, I mean, information is amazing. I mean, I just started reading, like avidly reading, like maybe about a year and a bit ago now, and the knowledge that I now have from just adding that practice to my life has changed my life. Like, I enjoy reading because I know it's going to give me more information that's going to help me do this job better.
Yeah.
And if I can gain that from hanging out with other people that I respect and like, and you know, hopefully help them in their life in one way or another, I mean, why the fuck not?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. And yeah, with the books too, you know, with the difference in having a group in the book, you've got your book smart side of it. Maybe you're not able to be with the person in the book, so you might not get what all of the skills that they're trying to share with you. But then you've got those other people that you can kind of bounce ideas off of and stuff like that. Have you read this book? What did you think of it? What's your perspective on it? I think that's awesome. Other people's perspective.
Yeah. That's an excellent point.
Yeah. I mean, I think that you can really gain a lot from that for sure.
So we've come up with a few ideas of what you can do to branch out and do more things. Your passion is clearly is currently right now staying with the culinary aspect of it. Is there any dream that you've had with regards to cooking that you haven't yet got?
I think when I first began, I was really into the idea of having a cookbook or like something like that. I was like, yeah, I'm going to have a cookbook. I feel like cookbooks are now just like, there's so many. I'm like, what is the niche for that? What is my cookbook? So that's kind of like, it's a little blurry at the moment, that goal or that dream. But for sure, that's on the list. And I think just expanding, I'd love to get into like chocolate work.
Chocolate.
Like that's definitely, a goal of mine in the culinary side of things. I'd love to know how in Florida too. Like, why would I want to work with chocolate in Florida?
Right. Yeah, it could be a bit tricky.
Yeah. So, I'd love to gain that skill set, at least have it so that I can, maybe add it to something else. But
well, with those two things in mind, I can pass on some information for you. My oldest brother sent me a message the other day with regards to like the cookbook idea and whatnot.
Really?
And he's done some research of how you can make small books and then obviously sell them either online or something like that. So I'll reach out to him and find out what exactly he was talking about. Because if you've been cooking for this long, you obviously have your own recipes. You've jotted them down. You got to find them. And then again, you're going to have to get
organizing them.
Yeah, organizing them. And then again, you're going to have to get your phone out and take photos of either the how-to steps or maybe just the product itself as a finished item. And then the other aspect of skills in chocolate, I'll have to look up on my phone. There's a gentleman I follow on Instagram.
Oh, I wonder if it's the guy.
It's probably the same guy. He's in Vegas.
Oh my gosh, he's amazing. Oh, I don't know. This is a French guy.
Okay, I don't know if he's French. He's a young man.
Okay. Who
started off just making cakes at home with his mom.
Okay.
I believe that's the backstory. He owns is it called a chocolatier school? He owns a school in Vegas. Okay. And the courses are like 8 or 10 weeks. You obviously have to go there and you get
I'd love to do that. Lodging. Sounds so fun.
It's expensive. I looked into it. It's like something like $10,000. But he's doing those desserts.
Right.
Like he's creating a motorcycle out of chocolate. He's creating a dragon. You know what I'm saying? Like it's crazy what this cat does. And on his page recently, from his page, I think you can click
Amari Gauchon.
Yes.
Love that is him. Yeah. He is incredible.
He is French?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he's French.
Okay. I didn't know too much about him.
And he is very young. I think he was one of the youngest pastry chefs in France at one time or something. I read something about
Super
that.
Talented,
wow.
Obviously. Amazing. Has a facility, obviously, that is temperature and
he's got all the tools.
Yeah, and he's done the The most recent thing that I saw on his Instagram was like they do quick little tours, and I think each class is only like 10 or 12, or don't quote me on that, but only a certain amount of people. It's not just him teaching, obviously. He has a school.
He has a team. He's got
He's
school.
he's got a full-on school.
He's incredible. I mean,
from having a passion in cake making.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Look at how it can expand
to anything. And
that's amazing.
Yeah, and his skill level. I mean, the stuff you see him do.
If you haven't seen it, go check it out, because it is.
Maybe
wow.
we'll put his Instagram in the description down
really
below
incredible.
Here for you.
I would love to learn even just the basics of where to begin with that stuff, because it's really.
And can you do that stuff at home? That's what I want to.
Yeah,
or is it only?
I think that's
I don't know. I don't know what tools he's using.
I don't know. Yeah, it's a whole other.
Yeah.
Opening up a whole other world, really.
Completely.
And something, that's going to take more time. So it would be, something I'd have to.
And it would be something that you might have to wait a year or two until Julian's in a grade that is, or is it the 2 months? Like, are you willing, again,
right.
life is sacrifices. Yeah. Is it the months where Ronaldo comes home for 2 months and he's got to, hold the fort down while you leave for 2 months?
Oh gosh.
And what a sacrifice, away from your child, away from your
husband
for 4 months, right? Because it would be 2 months him gone, he comes home, you go, but
I'd probably just have to take him with me.
Well, hey, if it works, why not, right? If you're going to go to Vegas to learn for 8 weeks, right?
Why not? They could
Ronaldo
go
would not
look
be
at all
upset.
the places you can go up there near Vegas. There's some amazing places, amazing national parks and things.
Absolutely.
So
I don't know how far Joshua Tree is from Vegas.
Oh, I don't know how far, but I hear it's. You went.
Yeah.
I
took the team.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah. When we were doing the food and travel stuff for the Life Choices early years, I took the team to LA, Joshua Tree, and San Diego.
I've never explored over there, but
LA, I'm not the biggest. No offense to anyone out there in LA, but it's just not for me. It's too many people, and yeah, I'll just leave it at that. It's just too many people. Yeah. I have had fun there, but it's just not for me. Joshua Tree is one of the weirdest, loveliest little slices of heaven on this rock.
Really?
Yeah. It is. If anyone out there has not been in Joshua Tree, you got to go.
Right.
Yeah. So if you do that, then Ronaldo, I mean, obviously, I think you would have your weekends off because school's probably Monday to Friday.
Oh, yeah, that's true. So I could do a little exploration.
Oh, my Lord. Absolutely.
I bet that'd be amazing. Yeah. That's why we're doing the Montana. We're like, we got to get over. I haven't seen, this is my country. I haven't even seen anything over there. Like, I've got to get more towards the West Coast and see what's happening, and to bring the little guy, have some good
open
camping
his mind
adventures up there. We're gonna go crazy.
Montana is without a doubt on my to-do list.
Is it on the list?
Oh, it's been on my list for years. Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how much is actually there until we started kind of looking into it. I'm like, wow, this is really beautiful. So I'm excited to see what we find.
I wanted to go there long before the Yellowstone.
The
story.
show.
Yeah, long before that came out. That just affirmed the fact that I want to go, because the land just looks.
It looks
amazing.
Beautiful. Yeah. I was to check it out.
It was a movie called A River Runs Through It. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
Familiar. I don't
Brad
know if
Pitt's
I've ever...
in it. It's when he's really young.
Oh.
And if I'm not mistaken, Brad Pitt's from the Montana-ish area, I believe. I think. I could be wrong. However, I watched that movie with my oldest brother, and I think I was in high school. I might have been 17 at the time. And yeah, so since I was 17, I wanted to go to Montana. Just haven't gone yet.
I'm excited to go. I think it's going to be great. I'm sure it's going to be, if it's as beautiful as everybody's told me, I'm sure it's going to be wonderful. We've got a friend there too to kind of show us the ropes. So I think we'll have a little bit of a heads up on places to go.
Insider local kind of vibe.
Yep, that's the best. I mean, you've
it's way
done
better that way.
Have
Absolutely.
somebody give you a little heads up of the best spots, so you're not wasting time trying to figure it out by yourself. So
yeah, I was fortunate enough when I traveled. I did the trip around the world by myself. I did 8 months.
So cool.
25 countries, and I was lucky enough to through different different apps, I was able to connect with different locals.
That's awesome.
And even if it was just for a day, an afternoon, a couple of days, I got to vibe around. And just, local vibe is way, way better.
You get to see a lot, I think, that's not touristy.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of the perks of having a South African husband. When we go there, he knows all the places that we can go that are not going to be overwhelmed with people trying to take a picture of one little thing. You know,
Right,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
we can go have an actual experience, which I think is the best part of the travel. You know.
And don't you find, because I know you've traveled a fair bit, obviously, with the boats and
Yeah.
personal life as well. And isn't it amazing for anyone who has a love for food,
Oh,
you know,
gosh.
going to all these different places and experiencing the food?
So good. I actually, just when you said that, I have a craving for a sandwich that I had in South Africa this last time in October. And it was like this amazing, and I love vegan food. So it was an amazing fried tofu sandwich, but it had like
Okay.
a slaw on it. But the bun, however they made the bun from scratch, and however they made the bun was just like, it was fluffy and it was amazing. And I think about that sandwich and I'm like, I hope it's there when I go back again. You know, like the food you're able to experience is just, it's amazing.
Do you ever
Like,
find as a person that cooks for a living, when you go, do you ever try to dissect what's in it? Like,
Oh,
figure
yes.
out what's in that. Oh, can I do this? I wonder what that ingredient
I have a
is.
client who actually just called me today and she was like, there's a dressing from a restaurant. Can you go there and try it and figure out what it is? So I'm actually going to be doing that this week. So
From her restaurant or from
no,
a
from
restaurant?
a random restaurant.
okay.
She's like, there's this dressing and I love it, but I don't know what's in it. Do you ever do that? Could you do, like, if you're
Yeah.
ever there, you know, check it out. And if you can figure it out, like, can you make me that? So I was like, yeah, sure. Like, this is an awesome challenge. I love doing
Yeah.
that. That would be so fun.
That's, I mean, anytime
So-
I've gone and when I've gone somewhere and been blown away by the food, that's basically what I do when I get back to the boat. I'll
You
just
try and
be
make
like,
it.
I'll try to figure out how, okay, what was that? What was in there? And I try to do it on my own, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
and try to get as close as possible. There's a Thai place up the street here that we go to all the time called Thai Julie's. Oh, no, it's called Oriental Market. We call it Thai Julie's.
Oh,
Because Julie runs it and it's a Thai restaurant.
okay.
And she has a couple of dishes there that I absolutely adore. And I come close. I know it's not exact
Right.
the way she does it, but I've come close to it. And
Oh, cool.
yeah,
I love
it's
that.
so
I
much
love trying to
fun.
make what, like, if there's something, yeah, like you
Mm.
said, something you truly enjoy, because then you can have it all the time.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't have to go all the way to South Africa to get the sandwich.
I mean,
Or-
I've been to SA, and now that you say it, like, it's actually kind of funny to me now that I think back. When I went, obviously I visited some people that I knew
Right.
from the yachting industry, and then I was by myself as well. And I didn't even think like the bunny chow. I
Oh,
think
yeah,
is
the
like
curry in the bread.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's not like we know like a bread bowl.
It's an actual loaf of
it's
bread.
like a loaf of bread that's been
Yes.
hollowed out, and then like the fries and everything are in it.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back now.
Yeah. Yep. That stuff. They've got some amazing curry influences over
do.
there. Like a lot of, especially, I guess I haven't been to Durban, but closer to Durban, I've heard they've got some really great, like super curries. But I've had so many cool foods there that roaster cook, this grilled bread that they eat with
Not a briberocky.
not a bribery. No, I love those two. And every time, you know, sometimes if I want to wow somebody that is
Yeah.
like looking
It's
for
a grilled cheese sandwich
it is
with
a grilled
onion
che-
in it or
yeah,
tomato.
onion, tomato,
Yeah.
cheese,
Yeah.
chutney.
Yeah.
But I will tell you that there have been several times that I have made those briberickies just in a
Yeah,
pan for
yeah.
guests on yachts.
And they lose
and
their
they have been
mind,
like,
eh?
this is the best.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it is so simple.
But that's the thing about what we do.
It's- Yeah, I mean, it's one little, or like, a couple ingredients that change this sandwich that we've known since
Our
we
whole
were
life,
6.
yeah.
Or, you know, is whenever we started eating grilled cheese.
Yeah.
I think that's super cool. Being able to bring that influence to somebody else who maybe has never experienced that type
Yeah.
of food. So, there's some really, anyway, quickly, Royster Cook.
Yeah.
It's a grilled bun, and you can get it with filled with chicken salad or anything. But there's a lady there, I don't know, she's at one of these little shops on the garden route. And there was one day they've got a sign, and it's like, she's made 3,000 Royster Cooks today. On open fire, she makes these bread buns, and she grills them in this oven. In every time you drive by, it's a new number. They write it up in
Yeah.
chalk, today she's made, 3,500 Royster Cook buns.
And when they're done, they're
Jam
done.
and cheese filled with chicken salad, whatever, whatever fillings are there for the day. But they're amazing. like fluffy inside. It's almost like a big English muffin, but it's so good.
All right.
I highly recommend it the next time you go. It's like kind
I'm
of
gonna have to Google that.
a great travel food for us because you can just grab them on the go. They're delicious.
And they're on the road.
It's a shop just off the side of the road. You pull in, you grab it, you get back in your car, and you can go. It's amazing. Yeah. So.
Well, it's funny. What we do for a living, actually, it is usually the simplest foods, the simplest recipes.
I think 5 ingredients
that blow people's minds.
Yeah.
Like creme brulee has been a dish that people freaking go nuts over.
Right.
And off the top of my head, 3 ingredients, 4 ingredients. You know, like it's so simple.
You can get fancy with it, but
but
if you want to do the
classic.
Yeah, it's a classic.
Yeah.
And it is. It's just the way that you change the ingredient to make it, you know, harmonious, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that's it. It's crazy. It is the simple foods, really.
Yeah. Sometimes life doesn't have to be complicated.
We make it very complicated. I think you're right, but
we do it to ourselves for sure.
We do.
Yeah. Well, taking a step back from everything and knowing, you know, like you said, like just knowing you've got it, like knowing you can do it, you know, putting all that kind of right mindset, the mentality for doing it, but it takes time because.
Yeah.
With everything that you know that you can do, it's there because you've appreciated the prolonged
experience of it, I guess.
Well, the prolonged gratification.
You
know, you've prolonged that situation where you didn't just want something to happen overnight and it was going to be successful. You were like, I'm going to put in the work, and then once you got the work done, then now I'm going to go implement the work, and I'm going to get that, and that is, you know, I think that's a very big key for how you've become successful. I know for myself, once I got into yachting, I wouldn't have been as successful as I am now if I didn't, you know, kind of hold on to it and keep learning.
You didn't give up on it.
Yeah.
You chose to, you know, learn the next skill, or you took the next step to get to where you are now. You know, I think that's true. You don't just jump to the top of a ladder.
No, you don't. And you don't give up on your way up.
Exactly. If you do, you could definitely injure yourself. So it's kind of like thinking about it in that way. I think thinking about our goals and accomplishments and successes that we want for ourselves in life, and thinking about it in the way of something physical, sometimes like that, where it's an act of doing something. It's very similar. Just, you know, you have to do a lot of that climbing in different ways on your own.
Yeah.
So.
And realize that, like, that moment where you might create self-doubt, you can switch that. You know, when my mind starts worrying and thinking, oh no, it's like, no, hold on, you got this. Yeah. You're gonna do it. Because if I allow that doubt to come in and I choose to go down the route of negativity, then I might stop doing what I'm doing. And for all I know, if I just did it one more day, that door might have opened.
It could have been the day.
The game changer. Absolutely.
You never know, truly. Yeah. So you could meet that one person that's like, oh yeah, this is, or it could be that moment for sure that changes the rest of your life. That's
why I try to practice on a regular basis. Like we said, like first thing in the morning, if I don't feel right, I try to tell myself today's going to be a great day.
Yeah.
You know, and then I get to the gym and someone I haven't seen in a while is there, like, hey, how you doing? And it's like, oh, now I'm even better mood.
Yeah.
You know, it's an amazing what can transpire when I add those practices on a regular basis.
Yeah, it really is amazing.
Yeah, it's game changing.
Sure.
Honestly, it's been an absolute delight. I wasn't shocked at all that it was going to be.
Oh, thanks.
We've always gotten along. We have a lot in common, so conversation very smooth. I love it. All of your socials we'll get from you, and we're going to put down below here in the description for all of you out there. If you're for now, if you're in the South Florida area, you'll be able to contact for catering and different functions and whatnot.
I do cakes for delivery sometimes.
Okay, so that's an option. There you go.
If you need a pirate ship cake, though,
pirate
I'm going to leave that to you.
Yeah, no, do not call me for a pirate ship cake.
It's a tough one.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But all the socials will be down below here for everybody. I think you should definitely get into the social media aspect to move forward with a new direction of your food. So your down months are more up months for sure. I look forward to sitting down with you again in the future for sure. Thank you so much for coming. It's
Thank
been a pleasure.
you for having me.
My pleasure. For everyone out there, thank you very much for coming by for another week here on the Life Choices podcast. I sincerely appreciate you guys coming by every single week. Feel free to leave a comment. Let me know what you're thinking about what you've been watching here on the podcast. Don't forget to scroll down if you're new and hit subscribe. Hit the bell to be notified what's going on. Like, comment, share. You can find us on all of our social platforms, which are, just down below here as well. And I look forward to seeing everyone here next week, Tuesday at 2 on the Life Choices podcast. Much love, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are now about
The Journey Life Choices podcast.